Lately, the world has been feeling like it's a little bit on fire.
And as much as we would love to just move to safe, faraway islands, we live in Ukraine and work in media.
So in order to stay sane and decompress, we gather on this couch every week and talk about everything that happened in our private lives and in the world.
And now, we invite you to join this conversation. Welcome to Unmasking.
Today we're going to talk a little bit about, obviously, Valentine's Day, because it has just passed, and also
Chernobyl and just security in Europe and America. What's up with that?
I mean, Trump things, honestly, we're just going to talk about Trump and Europe, and oh my god, I'm so excited.
I mean, who isn't talking about Trump at the moment? The shit is turning crazy.
Let's stick to Valentine's Day
Let's
for
stick
now.
to Valentine's Day. I have Valentine's Day pants.
You do have Valentine's Day pants. I was gonna wear like Valentine's Day-ish inspired earrings, but then I saw your pants and I was like, you know what, that might be a little too much.
So what did you do?
Oh, you know what I did on Valentine's.
Well, tell us.
Well, so this year I went out to a bar with a bunch of people. Fantastic. And right at that point, you texted me complaining about the fact that you're done with men, one man in particular.
Yeah, my Valentine's Day was going rough. It was a long day.
But before that, though, you texted me. And the thing is, like, Masha, you should know this by now, that, like, I don't take these things lightly. And if you're complaining and telling me that I need to find you a man, it's not going to be like, oh, yeah, I'll look out. It's going to be like, now. I'm going to go find you a man now.
What happened is I was messaging my friend saying that, all this stuff is happening with this guy that I was talking to, and that kind of came to an end. So now I'm back on the market, and I do not trust my choices anymore, so somebody should choose for me. I made a joke. Yulia took it seriously. She came back to me within like 20 minutes. She's like, I got you a date.
You should have known that that's what I was gonna do.
Literally the next day, Yulia creates a group chat with me and this man where she's like, well, you guys thought I'm gonna forget, but I didn't.
First of all, it was called a very cringe introduction, and it had two like little sparkly things in it. Because, well, I see, like, the thing is, you weren't there the night before, but it was more so like an ode to him. Mm-hmm. Because to be fair, I was sitting in front of this man, right, and his friend, and a man that you know next to me, and we were like discussing, and I was just kind of like, oh, maybe that guy or maybe that guy, and then I was like, wait, is that guy single? And he's like, yeah, and he knows both of you, right? So he was like, actually, they could be a good match. And I didn't even wait. I look at this man who's sitting across the table from me, and I'm like, so in the spirit of unhinged conversations, are you single?
And what was his answer?
He looked mortified because, there was this situation, and I was like, I'm literally asking for a friend. I kept doubling down on it throughout the night, to be fair, because, like, I noticed that the guy that I was there with was, like, so mortified. At some point, he was like, your matchmaking skills terrify me. And I was like, that's by design. But so, because I thought it was so funny, and I think the man at that point realized what I was doing, also thought it was funny. And yeah, so the only mortified person was now the guy to the right of me, and it was funny. Also, you know him, so you know exactly how.
No, it's pretty funny. So now I supposedly have an agreement for a date somewhere on the weekend, but we'll see.
Actually, you know what I realized? I didn't realize this before, but he took a lot of very, very famous pictures that were all over the media.
You're now really triangulating this poor person that I don't even know that I'm going on a date with him.
Yeah, but we're not going to show the pictures.
No.
Obviously, we're not going to show the pictures. Well, if you work out, we'll bring him in the room and everybody can meet the famous photographer. I love how, like, I took all the pressure off of my dating life by putting it on your dating life.
Which is not happening, because I will tell you what I was doing for Valentine's Day. Just to put it in perspective, I don't know what was happening in Ukraine this year for Valentine's Day, but Kiev was going nuts. There was crazy traffic. Everybody was wandering around with flowers. Like, it was just, it made me happy because it kind of felt similar to the way it was before the full-scale invasion, but at the same time, I just was not expecting it.
Yeah.
And then also we got this huge snowstorm towards the end of the day. Well, I went to work. I was feeling really great. And then over the night, Russia hit Chernobyl, a nuclear power plant, with a drone. And we got news that there was this press tour for journalists to go and report on that. And since I was already at Chernobyl before for the travel show that I was working,
you have no plans for Valentine.
And yeah, I had no plans for my Friday night and Valentine's Day. So my editor was like, "You're going," and I was hoping I'm not gonna make it because it was like last minute and la la la. So I had to rush home and then rush to Chernobyl. Chernobyl is like 2 hours away from Kyiv, and it's right now people can't go there because of the war. Only kind of journalists can, and it's like extra checking. There's a bunch of checkpoints. There's a lot of checking your documents and stuff. And yeah, it was just a crazy day. It was a crazy day. It was very cold. I was all wet. There was a lot of journalists, but I got very close to the new safe confinement that covers the 4th nuclear power plant, which before I wasn't that close. So I got to look at the drone. I got to, hang out in Chernobyl again. And then I got home at like around 11.
Radioactive.
Well, yeah, I can say that, who needs romance if you can get some radioactivity for Valentine's Day?
I am kind of like jealous that you went to Chernobyl. I actually had, I'm surprised that Kyiv Independent wasn't approached. Well, so Masha works at Kyiv Independent as a video producer. Well,
as somebody who makes videos, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you have an undefined role, but you do a lot, and you're a very valuable person, okay? But I wanted to ask something, because, like, since you were there, and it was when the sarcophagus was damaged, can you explain, like, to me, and obviously to anyone who's, like, gonna be inevitably listening to us, and like, haha, 2 people, like, what's the, how does the confinement keep it safe? Do you know?
Okay, I mean, don't quote me on, very
But I'm sure they,
physics,
like, walked you through it, like, right?
Well, they didn't really, but because I dug around
you
in
did
the topic,
that,
so yeah, I can talk about this. Reactor number 4, that the explosion happened, the infamous explosion that was really, really bad. It's considered one of the worst nuclear disasters in history. So they, right away after the explosion, like within 2 months, they created a new confinement that was covering, the radiation that was just going everywhere. And then in 2017, bunch of countries came together and created the new safe confinement, which is this big-ass ark, which is, for you to understand how big it is, it's bigger than Colosseum in width, and it's taller than Statue of Liberty in height. And so they built it, and then they like pushed it over and enclosed it. And I don't remember how much it was, but it's a very expensive project that a bunch of countries in Europe collaborated on, because it's not just Ukraine's safety, it is safety of many other countries.
A lot of the world, yeah.
So the drone damaged that top new safe confinement, so there is still one confinement between that and like the actual radiation.
Yeah.
But there's still dust that has radiation in it, and that now is technically exposed. So they've said at that point that radiation levels were fine, but they pretty much don't know how much worse it's going to get, because this was supposed to work for 100 years until they figure out how to like disassemble it safely. Oh. But now who knows how long it's supposed to work and how much money it's going to take to actually fix it.
Repair it. Yeah, because there were like fires for 3 days afterwards, right? I saw that there was, that it was like there's still something on fire, or like...
Well, there wasn't anything on fire when we were there because there was pretty bad snow. And there wasn't any fire inside. There was a fire inside originally when the explosion happened, because like the drone fell in.
Yeah, of course.
But what I thought was really interesting, what I learned, they don't shoot drones down over the nuclear power plants.
Oh, yeah.
Which, I mean, duh. But what they use kind of like
electronic warfare.
They use electronic warfare to
disable them.
Yeah, to disable them, or like pretty much turn them around a different direction. But because this drone was flying so low, they didn't see it, so it ended up flying into the music.
I mean, it kind of makes sense not to shoot something, because like taking something down
if they
means...
fall down, they explode onto something.
Yeah, but also like taking something down means an explosion in the sky. I think like we don't talk enough about like, when targets are disabled and all of the rockets were intercepted, or all of the drones were intercepted.
Big ass rockets are still falling from from the sky.
Well,
Just,
first,
like, their bits are
there is
falling.
like a missile hitting the drone or something hitting the drone, right? So that's a boom. And then all of the debris and all of these parts, which are huge, because have you
Yeah.
like seen how big Shaheeds are? Those things are
That
like
one wasn't
freaking
Shahid. That one was something else. Like, it wasn't
Lancet, maybe?
ginormous. I can put some video here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
But in general, these drones are like huge.
They're pretty
And like
big.
Shaheeds, for instance, are like 3
Yeah.
people tall. You know, it's crazy, like a 3 average man tall. It's wild. And so like yeah, all of this debris and it's metal. All of this debris falls somewhere, and obviously like it can hit a power line, it can hit like a gas storage facility, like literally anything. So yeah, so that's really bad. Your Valentine's Day in Chernobyl, you're radioactive. My Valentine's Day looking for a Valentine for you. What a
Nice.
what a fantastic little situation we found ourselves in.
Do you think dating in Ukraine has changed with Full Scale? Because I was thinking about that on Friday on my long, long ride to Chernobyl. How, I mean, I know that, you know, my attitude towards dating has changed because from one way, there's a lot of uncertainty. You know, like if you're dating a Ukrainian man who could be mobilized, he could be already serving, and that's scary. I mean,
Yeah.
you go without contact for a little while, and like it's intense, right? And then if you have a chance to leave Ukraine, they don't, and then foreign guys, they come and they go, and then they all say
Yeah.
they're serving. It's
also-
quite complicating.
It's also like a very small pool of people.
That, well, because we kind of date
Yeah,
English
well, because it's
speakers.
that's what I'm saying. Like English speakers is a very small pool of people. Like you,
I'm
I've
glad
said
we
that.
haven't crossed over yet.
Yeah. In this particular era in time, yet kind of sounds a little sad for me. But anyways, I've said this before, but I really like this, this phrase that I invented, and I'm giving myself credit for it, is that you can literally fit them in a swimming pool, in a public pool. Like this is how many like English-speaking eligible people there are here. Because to be fair, and I don't mean to say this to be like demeaning in any way, but like most foreigners that come here are military servicemen, and they're mostly military servicemen that can no longer serve in their country, which means that they have PTSD and they're just coming here because they can no longer live without a war zone. So it's not like they're necessarily very, not like
that's
dateable.
true. I'm just saying that, like, I don't think the majority of them is who are here for fighting, because I mean, there's a lot of demining work. There's a lot of business side and like military and
but in general,
advising and blah, blah,
But
blah,
also,
blah.
in general, a lot of foreigners that do come here. Well, first of all, like 80% of foreigners that come here are scammers. Like, and I'm not like I'm saying
That's
this
true.
so openly.
I don't think 80. Yet again, I feel like I don't want to.
No,
there are a lot of people who come here for their own personal issues.
Yeah, no, you should also check me on this because I'm like so dramatic, But
No, I just don't want like. There's a lot of amazing people, who sacrificed their safety and came to Ukraine to report because they're genuinely lovely.
There's genuinely like 2 types of people, right? And it's like one type of people is people who run towards something, and people who run from something. And there is a lot of people that run from something. And also then like, but then from the percentage of other people that are here that are English speaking from other countries that run towards something and they're generally good people, it's like you don't really like leave your life behind and like move to a different country to a war zone if everything is okay, right? So it's some sort of reinvention.
FYI, both Yulia and I ran away from our lives towards the war zone, so I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, everything was okay in my life, but by the time that I did run away here, it's been like a year of full-scale invasion, and I felt like I was living Ukraine through the computer screen and my bedroom, and I stopped socializing, I stopped doing things, so like everything wasn't okay any longer. No. But I mean that like, a lot of people who come here, especially to do a lot of like dangerous work, it's like they're already going through a lot of stuff, and like they're already like reinventing themselves and going through like a lot of things mentally, obviously. So it's not necessarily the time that you want to date someone, because even if they're like a good person, they're not in that right state of mind.
Might not be in the right place.
Yeah.
And a lot of people do come here for like a short period of time. Would it be 3 months?
You're
Would
lucky
it be,
with that.
I am
oh
very
my
lucky
God.
with that. Would it be a year? Would it be 3 months? Because even if it's a year, right? If they're planning for sure to be coming back home, they probably don't want to have like a really long-term serious relationship, because at this point in my life, I don't know where I'm going to be in 5 years, but for the next foreseeable future, I would like to be in Ukraine.
Yeah,
like
me
I have
too.
my work that I like here, I have a lot of friends here, I have my family here, and I would like to continue doing the work that I do about covering Ukraine.
Well, I mean, to be fair, like I can't really say anything like, oh, Masha, like all of the men that you date are like running away, because like not from you, from Ukraine. Well, because
I have
they're
a dream
all,
that one day I'm gonna make a foreign man move to Ukraine just for me. Like, I think
that's such
for
an
that,
Una reverse card.
I just really yes, that's funny. I like that. But also, it's the fact like I think I should get like a medal from Zelensky. It's like Masha is bringing men to Ukraine.
Okay, first of all the men that you wanted to bring to Ukraine are still not here, so like.
That's what I'm saying. That's a dream. I'm working towards it. I've tried
Yeah, but then
multiple
you
times. I
have to,
have failed.
but then you have to bring multiples to get a medal for like repopulate. Anyways,
I am trying.
but you know,
I'm doing my part, Yulia. I'm doing my best.
I know you're doing your best. I do find it funny though, because like, you know, when you move to the US, everyone is always like, oh, are you trying to find a husband for a green card, right? Like the amount of foreigners here, like people don't know this, but Ukraine's immigration laws are so bad.
They're pretty bad.
It's
and there's
harder.
a lot of guys who are like, I'm looking for a perfect Ukrainian wife. There's a lot of creepy dudes.
Dude, yeah, it's like harder, I think, to get a Ukrainian citizenship or like residency or like whatever, than it is like German. And German is pretty hard. So it's like so funny because in Ukraine, for the first time, when I moved here with the full-scale invasion, I felt so
Privileged?
funny. Yeah, because it's men who want to marry you to get a citizenship in Ukraine, not like, you know, people who are like, oh, these Ukrainian girls, they just want to like...
I'd marry somebody for a citizenship. I mean, we need more people.
Masha, that's illegal.
I would not marry anybody for visa. Do not even message me.
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh, I don't know why, but I just want to share this with you. Recently, a man has messaged me on Instagram and he said, and I'm assuming it was a joke, but I was deeply offended. He's like, I would offer your mother 7 goats and 2 cows for your hand in marriage. And I was like, I would be worth at least a herd of cows and like 3 alpacas and a dog. Like I refuse.
Okay. So I happen to know a thing or two about how these negotiations work because when I was I was in Egypt when I was 7 and my dad was offered 7 camels for me.
Nice.
And apparently 7 camels is like top-notch proposition. Okay. So like
so 7 camels, okay. Cool. But how does the economy with camels work? Do they
I don't know, but
grow
that was,
in price or
also,
are they losing in price over time because you were 7, so I'm assuming like how does the economy with camels
I don't know,
work?
but also yeah, this was like way back in 2001, so like maybe now
Camels
it
are
should be like 14
depreciating.
camels.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Exactly. They drink
I
a
don't
lot
know
of
how-
water. The water is kind of scarce. Maybe they're gaining. I don't know.
I also want to take this moment to tell the people that if you're watching this and you like it, you love it, your love is in the air, Valentine's Day, give
You want
us...
to share your love?
Yeah, give us that love and please love the video, you know, with the big heart button. I wish that there was like an edit that did like, rah, you know, like, ding. But yeah, please do like this video and also send it to a friend, your mom, I don't know, maybe your boyfriend, you know what, just like the video, send it anywhere you feel like sending it. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel because, you know, we will be here every week. And if you want to see us, obviously you want your notifications on so you don't miss us. And obviously you want to be here too. Why would you not want to be here? I think Munich Security Conference actually happened like right on Valentine's Day, and
Yeah, it was 14th to 16th.
so you know my conclusion of this is Europe breaking up with the United States, and I find it so funny because it happened on Valentine. It's like such a double, you know, it's a weird sort of thing. But
Do you think this is actually what's happening? Like, do you think in a way there's the relationship between America and Europe?
Oh yeah,
like,
100%.
Separating forever
Oh,
now.
well,
Not
I don't
forever,
know.
but like.
Well, we don't know how long Trump is going to be in power, right? Because he's doing a lot of like fascist moves, and Elon on Twitter literally agreed to someone. I don't know if you saw that, but the other day, Elon on Twitter literally agreed to someone who was describing how a government coup works, and he was like, "Oh, this is how a government coup works," referring to what Elon is doing, and he was like, "Yes."
I wonder
And
if
he-
it was Timothy Snyder because he just wrote a really cool Substack, and I was reading about it today, and he did a great job explaining like what's happening with
Well,
Elon, and he
Elon-
literally was like,
Elon quote replied to that.
yeah, and like what Timothy Snyder was saying, he was explaining that like there is a coup when people come and like take over the government, or there's a silent coup when people come in and just take control of the systems that run the government, which is kind of what's happening.
Yeah, the judicial system. It's basically Trump and Elon are saying. Well, Trump posted the other day.
But
I think
Elon
it was.
also doesn't have any political power. He was not chosen to be in power in any way,
Yeah,
so
he
he
was-
cannot be controlled, because people in politics, right, they respond to to people who chose them, right? There is some
Yeah.
sort of control of power, and when you were not chosen, there's no way to keep you in check.
Yeah, checks and balances. Well, he was appointed by Trump, but then like MAGA Republicans are like, well, the judges were appointed too. It's like, yeah, but they have an act.
Well-
They serve specific positions in order to
And
get
they
there.
have to do like bunch of tests and
Exactly.
like, you know, like you
not
cannot,
Brett Kavanaugh though.
I don't know enough about that, but like to become a judge, you still have to pass some things.
Well, in
Nobody's-
Trump's first term, he confirmed Brett Kavanaugh, who is like an accused rapist, and I mean, there is a lot. He's a white guy with a lot of power. But anyways, I saw this photo. I actually posted it on my story today on
About
Instagram.
Slovakia?
Yeah, and it was basically like a photo of Munich in World War II. Like it was basically like Munich, World War II, Munich today. And it was a photo of Slovakia with like annexed territories that were allowed to be taken by Hitler, and then Ukraine with the territories that Trump wants to give Russia. But like, okay, the reason why I personally think that Europe is so breaking up with the United States is because there is no longer the same vision. Trump, like, even taking aside the fact that no one in Europe likes him, like, I don't know, there are Americans that voted for him that fully believe that people are scared of him in Europe and they respect him. Like, no one likes him. Everybody thinks he's fucking crazy.
I think people are, like people value America's power, because America for the longest time was a very powerful country that set the tone for the entire world, but it is shifting.
Yeah, but there is also this thing where America is a very powerful country with a powerful military and a lot of military production that always had the right sort of, and a lot of people can argue with me on that, I know that, but it's like they were helping Europe, they were a strong ally, and they were a consistent ally. Now, America is a threat because there is a volatile president, there is a psychotic man who is, I don't know, sending rockets to space, literally overthrowing the government and just
has
like
way
taking
too much control over a lot of personal data.
Yeah,
a lot
exactly.
Of,
Just
like we don't know what's
it's
happening with
chaotic.
AI. Like
exactly.
there's just way too much power
It's
that
chaotic.
people have.
And like there is a lot of like, human rights are being taken away. There are all these crazy executive orders. In general, it's a very volatile situation, and that volatile situation has the largest amount of nukes on the planet and also the biggest military industrial complex. It is
Didn't
a
we
threat.
recently, like every year they check like how much closer we're getting to the end of the world? Didn't we get another second closer recently?
Yeah, we did.
And I think we gotten like 15 like over 20 seconds in the last like 5 years. So we're not doing well.
Yeah, we're not doing too hot right now. But that scares me. I mean, but I honestly think, so selfishly, right? It's good for Europe to stand away from the US and stand on its own 2 feet, because for Ukraine, for instance, and I mean, for me, it's such a like dichotomy sort of situation because I've lived in America for 14 years. I love it as my home. So I have 2 homes. It's both Ukraine and the US. And when I moved to Ukraine, I moved because I felt like I was watching everything crumble and I couldn't do anything and I was far away. Now I'm watching it crumble in the US and I can't do anything and I'm far away. But I'm also a green card holder. And to be fair, I really don't want to be arrested at JFK and sent to Guantanamo, because there was also this new thing that came out recently, and I'm only going to give it a minute because honestly we can talk about it some other time. But like the government basically is expanding its power to check on immigrants, and like they need to make if you dumb it down, it's like if you don't agree with the government and you're an immigrant and you're a green card holder and we know that you don't agree with the government, we can feel free to do whatever we want with you.
So it sounds very Russia-esque.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, I mean, obviously at this point I have a digital footprint of like talking my real opinions and ideas about Trump, and it's like, okay, sure, like you can deport me, right? But like they're not just going to deport you, they're going to send you to Guantanamo Bay. And it's kind of like or that El Salvadorian prison that they were just going to, and it's for like gang criminal. I mean, the prospect of any of this is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And
it's a country that's, known for its freedom of speech and like, that's what Ukraine was setting as an example in many ways when we're fighting for our freedom of speech, starting from 2014 and even before.
I heard someone say today, well, actually not someone, but there is this podcast, well, not podcast, it's a YouTube channel. It's called Silicon Valley, Silicon Curtain. And Jonathan Fink is the host of that channel. Actually, shout out to him. He's a good friend. But he and Anna from Ukraine, this other Ukrainian YouTuber, were talking, and he said basically that, Ukraine is closer to what America thinks it is than America is today.
Yeah.
And Ukraine is also closer
like
to...
in values, like in
values,
values
and in everything going on with the government and everything, freedoms of speech and like sort of all of that stuff, because to look at it realistically, like human rights in Ukraine, some people can also argue because men in mobilization, right, but are going up because...
We're not talking about specifically like wartime.
Yeah, like LGBTQIA rights are going
They're
up.
moving.
Like we are getting to Istanbul conventions and different conventions for the
Ukraine
rights of
is
women.
in top 10 of global like index of giving, so like our volunteer movement is quite high,
And digitization too. So it's like
but
Ukraine...
we also jumped like ridiculous amount. Like in 2010, we were like 150th, and in 2022 we were in like second place. So now we're within the first 10. So I mean, we're doing quite
volunteering is a very big part of our existence right now, especially because of the situation we're in. But yeah, it's kind of, I mean, it's crazy. For me, it's very crazy because it's like both of my homes are kind of being torn apart right now. One is being invaded by a fascist regime, and the other one is becoming a fascist regime. And like what really drives me crazy, right, is that what America is becoming today is what we're fighting against in Ukraine today. So it's kind of like...
Who's going to fight America?
Yeah. Well, Europe. I mean, honestly, this is, well, one of the things that like, when people are like, oh my God, Ukraine's just going to get flushed because Trump is going to say so. It's like, you don't understand the world dynamics. Like, if the US decided to drop Ukraine and it was under a government that wasn't volatile and people trusted and knew that they were doing this with good intentions, or like Europe knew that this was done for like Europe's security, sure. But Europe knows that this is against Europe's interests, against Europe's national security. I've said it so many times at work, actually. It's like...
Putin thought that Ukraine was weak and Ukraine is not going to be protected. That's why he acted in 2022 after his experience in 2014, right? So if he thinks and sees that Europe is weak, America doesn't give a fuck, all of these things are happening, then why is he not going to keep moving?
Exactly.
Like, what about Lithuania that has that old nice bit of Russia
Well, Zelensky
there?
was just saying in Munich, right, that Russia's preparing a second invasion. But my whole point is that, like, Europe and the US today are not aligned.
No.
Like, at all. As in, like, it's looking this way. And there is now an emergency meeting of European heads about Trump and about America. Because, like, I mean, they're terrified. Europe is terrified.
But I mean, like Trump has been saying it since last year. I remember making a video about it exactly a year ago.
Yeah.
He said, if I become a president, if NATO is invaded, I'm not going to do a thing. He said it a year ago. Like, he had never been hiding that opinion. Not even that, like, I mean, that's his opinion.
I think the issue is that, like, a lot of world leaders were hoping that it was going to be the same thing as last time, where he was saying a bunch of bull and then like not necessarily acting through on it. But now there are no checks and balances. There's nothing stopping him. He kind of just like spits on courts and like ignores their decisions, and then goes on Twitter and goes like, this is what I was going to say like 20 minutes ago, is that he posted on Truth Social or like Twitter, I don't know, one of the far right things. He posted on there and he said something like, it was from either Napoleon. Yeah, it was Napoleon Bonaparte's quote.
Oh, God.
Yeah, little man with a big ego. And he posted this quote that was basically, he who saves his country can't cross the law or something like that. I mean, the quote should.
So pretty much you can do whatever the heck you want.
Yeah. It's like because you're
good.
saving your country, you're not breaking the law. Oh, he who's saving his country is not breaking the law or cannot break the law or something like that. And I was like, Handmaid's Tale much, because I feel like every time I wake up and I look at things, I'm just like, we're in Handmaid's Tale, and my TikTok keeps sending me stuff from Handmaid's Tale, and I'm just like,
I've been saying it since 2019.
I've been saying it for a while too much, but it's like at this point I'm in this predicament where I'm like, is it sending me Handmaid's Tale because these are signs, or is it sending me Handmaid's Tale because
current
TikTok
reality.
knows that I constantly talk and think about it? It's actually it's a great mixture. It's between Love Island UK that I don't even watch and Handmaid's Tale. I've watched like 2 seasons. Okay, guilty pleasure, I'll admit. I've watched season 5 and season 10, but it's not like I actually religiously watch it. I've watched 2 seasons. And then like there is the most current season. And the people from season 10 and season 5 are there. So like I've seen them before because it's like a reunion all-star thing. Yeah. And so my feed on TikTok is literally Love Island and Handmaid's Tale. And like scenes from both.
But
and
but in a way, this is exactly what's happening with people. You know, there's a part of people, depends like what they were doing before, but there's a part of people who are so scared and so overwhelmed and so just terrified of what's happening and feel so powerless and weak against all of these news cycles that are terrifying. Like each next one seems to be worse than the previous one, so they seem to hide and pretend like, you know, I'm not gonna do anything, I'm just gonna YOLO it. And I kept seeing this song come up on my TikTok literally since the beginning of this year. It's like oh god,
radioactive.
no, not that one. It was it doesn't matter, but it was kind of like I don't give a fuck. Like it's just that energy has been kind of penetrating, I feel like, social media, or the other side of people who are fighting, right? Or doing
and
something.
oh my gosh, and the other side of people, actually, the women's right. It's like Labor. You know that song Labor? No, like all day, every day, therapist, mother maid. No, okay,
Let's
that one.
Let's not make guess this song a part of this video.
Well, why not? We're a multifaceted, duo here. Multifaceted. Anyways, so I was gonna say that's actually a good point. It's like it's a very good contrast, and it's also a very good parallel, because kind of I feel like life is like this right now. It's like on the one hand you have Love Island, which is like basically like a mindless show, right? So you're like trying to live your life, you're like buying some clothes, maybe some jewelry, you know, you're like going out for coffee, you're like trying to date, you're trying to like have
trying to
you're
date.
like trying to have a life. It's okay. The man will text you.
I'm not that desperate. I come off very desperate. I actually
you're not that desperate, but it's just like I
just more say like like our life is like that.
So this is Love Island, and then the other part is Handmaid's Tale, where there's
Chernobyl
like Chernobyl, Munich Security Conference, Trump taking over the government. Like, dude, my entire YouTube feed is videos of how Hitler took power in Germany.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people are coming to a realization of like that they should have learned history better before, because I mean, they're like, oh my God, is this how it happens? And you're like, yes, we've been through it.
Yeah, you're right.
It has happened
when
before.
Your rights are being taken away, it's not immediately concentration camps. Your rights are being taken away by you being silenced, by media being silenced. Like, the fact that the Pentagon now excluded MSNBC, CNN, NPR, PBS, all of these like very respected news outlets from being on like the roster of Pentagon, and they now can't go there.
But what about, like, for me a big moment was just a random
AP
example, AP being banned from White House
and they were
briefings because they would not call
the Gulf of
Mexico the Gulf of America. And that just really reminded me of the early full-scale invasion when Russia was like, you media cannot call it the war, you have to call it the special military operation. How is this any different?
It's not, and that's the thing, it's the media, because the way that they did it, right, and they said it themselves, is they're basically punishing news outlets who are not following their agenda and their narrative, because it's like this, oh my gosh, she's so annoying, I keep forgetting her name, but like the blonde woman who's now the press secretary at the White House, with the worst makeup on the planet. But anyways, it's just so bad that like even I noticed, and I don't know how to do makeup, like, let's face it. But she was like, well, in this administration basically made it a point that it is called the Gulf of America, the body of water, blah, 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 blah. It's called the Gulf of America. And
what about the red and white and blue land? Did you hear about that? Red and white and blue land, Yulia.
Sorry, buddy.
But also, like, just imagine the world in 10 years. Teachers are being made obsolete by AI. Americans in America learn geography very different from anybody in the world.
Okay.
Americans in America geography looks very different from Russian geography, because Russia's like, well, that's Russia, and then Americans like, that's red and white and blue land, that's Gulf of America, and then everybody else is
And
like,
the world is
oh
like,
my god.
Yeah, but that's like the whole point, you know, like, I mean, the fact that he wants to buy Greenland and Denmark has already been like, no thanks, right? And also, this is invasion, this is imperialism, but I'm sorry, but red, white, and blue land, it's like, yee-haw, this is red, white, and blue land. We're gonna send all the rednecks there, and we're gonna repopulate it with ethnic Americans, and it's like, what?
I don't know.
Also, like the whole
I don't know.
ethnic Americans thing, like questioning Native American birthright citizenship. I'm sorry, like this is funny, but it's not funny. Like you know,
it's not funny. It's just becoming so absurd that it should not be a part of our conversation. You know, this was this trend going around TikTok being like, oh, if I would meet my younger self, I would say blah, blah, blah. Like, our conversation would be this. And I keep thinking about it, and I don't even know what we would talk about. I mean, I would slap her silly for speaking Russian, for sure, and be like, start practicing now, baby, because we're not speaking this language in 5 years. But I also would be like, I don't even know what to tell you. It's not going to get better. Like, it's just progressively going to get worse. And every time you think it's going to get better, it's going to get worse.
But also, how do you tell your younger self? Because, like, I would want to know about this ahead of time. And I mean, like, ahead of time, right? So I could do something beforehand. It's like, I would want to be prepared. But it's like, what do you tell your younger self to do? Because, like, how would you stop this? Or how would you get other people to believe you the magnitude of it? Because when I think about it, and it's like, oh, what would you have told your younger self? Like, 5 years ago, I mean, I was my younger self, and there was the Trump-Biden election. And 8 years ago, there was a Trump-Hillary election. And I was already telling all of my friends and people around me all of these things. I just didn't have a TikTok platform to, like, megaphone it through, right? But I was saying this thing from the very beginning. Like, I've seen the flags. I've seen the red flags, because I come from Ukraine, and I know what a hostile government takeover looks like. I know what a megalomaniac looks like. I know what kleptocracy is, and I know what an oligarchy is. And you're putting an oligarch in power who's going to destroy this country. And then suddenly you have all of these people that are making minimum wage and complaining about prices and gas and stuff like that, being like, well, he's going to love us. Like, he don't give a fuck about you, Joe. You know?
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I got a little...
Today's been great for your improv.
Oh, this is therapy.
But I don't know. I think we should be probably starting to wrap up. But I just want to say that I feel like lately I've been avoiding social media as much as I can, even though it's really hard because it's my work. But a lot of videos that I've been seeing makes me want to make a video of literally, like, looking into a camera and saying, why do I feel like you want me to die? Why, like, as a Ukrainian, why do I feel like everybody in the world would be happier if we all die and Ukraine would not exist? Because they're like, oh, we have to give you so much money.
But see, like, I haven't made videos on TikTok at all in, like, I think a month, because for me, I wake up and I want to do that. But also as an American woman, because I was a woman in America for 14 years and an immigrant, I want to say that too. And, like, I worry for both of these countries so much. It's like, for me, it feels like I'm being torn in two, because both this home is, you know, and then that home is, where do you go from here?
I will share with you and the quote that
you go to Zoloft.
you go to antidepressants. But no, on a serious note, I want to share with you something that really helped me last year when I moved to Ukraine. This quote that I think of often now: the biggest mistake is to do nothing when you can only do a little.
Yeah.
And that's what we keep doing. We just do our best. We do as much as we can. And I think as long as everybody keeps doing what they can, there's a chance that we're not going to wake up in World War III with fascists running a bunch of countries.
Well, and another quote is, if you are wondering what you would have done in 1930s Germany to prevent it, this is exactly what you're doing today, because you know, I want to have, like, a big red line here and, like, be like, you're here. You're here.
Yeah, you have a chance to rewrite history now.
It's just that people don't take it as seriously because we have Wi-Fi and TikTok and jokes and all of this stuff, but, like, it's serious.
Drones are scary. Like, it's no guns boom boom, but, like, there's a lot of drones.
Yeah, but it's also politically, like, we're here, you know, and it's and it is what it is, and this is why we're here every week to talk about this. But Masha, why don't you ask our lovely, probably one-person audience to subscribe to our channel?
Our dear subscriber, whoever you are who is watching this video, we're very grateful that you're still here. If you enjoyed it, make sure to like, write a comment. What would you tell your younger self 5 years ago?
Actually, yeah.
Or what quote keeps you going? Both of these answers would be very helpful. And yeah, we will see you next week.
Yeah. See you next week.